This movie is not, I repeat, not NASA's biggest disaster of the 1980s. Jamie, let's go watch Space Camp.
Good day, good afternoon, good whatever. I hope you're doing good, because we are here at Good Times, Great Movies. This is one half of this podcasting duo. I am Jamie, and there is also Doug.
I'm here.
And we are here every bi-weekly to talk about some somewhat thrilling, always entertaining.
Oh, always.
Sometimes even magical, like I would dare say this week, beyond. 80s movies that are movies that were made in and watched around the 80s.
You know, okay, all right, this is where I'm going to interrupt. I told you I was going to interrupt.
Okay.
Because you're doing something that we stopped doing.
What's that?
Only because over the past couple weeks, I've gotten a lot of feedback from people. Apparently, I'm going to say our listenership has doubled from 4 to 8. Yeah.
Wow.
Nope.
We're going to hit double digits soon, and I might pass out.
But I got a lot of questions from, not questions, but suggestions and comments that were really good.
I love it.
And I think early on we went into great detail to say, this is an 80s movie podcast, and we're going to choose movies based on current topics, things like that. But I think after those first 2 episodes, we kind of just never said that anymore. So I have a lot of people suggesting movies from the 90s and then random 80s movies. And I'm all for that. If people want to suggest movies, that's
Go
great.
for it, sure.
But try and tie them into, like, it's summer right now, so we're doing all these summer movies. Space Camp counts as a summer movie. So if you're going to suggest an 80s movie, which is great, and you can figure out ways to tie it into something, but that's all. I just wanted to let people know that, and down the road maybe we'll have some guests like this. I just wanted to put that out there because I have been getting questions and suggestions from people, which I'm more than happy to listen to suggestions.
Sure.
But just know that we have to choose movies based on, I don't know, topics?
Topical cream. It has to be based on topical creams. If it's not based on a topical cream, and in the 80s, it's...
That's right, yes.
It's pretty titular to the podcast, so...
All right, so sorry. I had to jump in,
I like the
go right
clarification.
ahead.
No, very good.
Yes.
Awesome. With that, there we are here tonight with our new 80s movie based on the theme of, let's be clear, summer.
Oh, yeah, sure.
And this amazing summer that I missed. Okay, this is a movie that I have not ever seen in my life, and I am so upset by that now that I have seen it. I can't believe I can't believe I had never seen this movie.
There is a trend that is happening here with these 80s movies and me. And it's movies that I have never seen or don't remember seeing have been fantastic. Movies that I clearly remember seeing,
right.
St. Elmo's Fire, Space Camp, have upset me beyond belief.
This was upsetting?
This movie. And I don't want to spoil my feelings about this.
Oh, no!
Oh, I didn't think you liked it.
I loved it.
Oh, my God. All right. Okay. So, well, let's go into it. Wow. I think we're going to have a split decision at the end of this one.
Okay.
But let's go through and, I guess, plead our cases. Okay. And then you be the judge, audience. You tell us who's right here.
Right.
All right. So the movie Space Camp, 1986, directed by, did you notice the director's name?
I didn't.
Oh, his name is Harry Weiner. I'm sure it's not pronounced that way, but it's Harry Wiener, which I thought was fantastic. And the night sky in 1986 was dark because all the stars were in space. This is a star-studded movie.
I will say, yes, as the cast names came over, as the credits rolled, I was like, whoa, look at all these names.
So I'll run through the cast real quick.
Okay.
And you have Kate Capshaw, who is the older woman.
Andy, the pilot.
You have Leah Thompson. Kelly Preston is in this.
Yes, and she plays a quirky little character.
She's doing great.
Yeah.
She really is.
Yeah.
If it weren't for Kelly Preston and the black guy Rudy, I don't know that I could have made it through this movie.
Are you serious?
I'm serious. So you have Kelly Preston. Rudy, Larry B. Scott. Has he been in anything else? Like, did you recognize that guy? I didn't.
Was that the black guy?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, no. I mean, maybe in a handful of different 80s things you might have, but
yeah,
no,
I should have. I normally, will IMDb or something. I did not do that with him.
Gotcha.
Leif?
Oh, hello.
Phoenix?
The once Leif, now Joaquin.
Joaquin. I guess if you have a goofy name, to change it to an equally goofy name makes total sense. And then Tate Donovan, and I don't know if you noticed that it's introducing Tate Donovan in the beginning.
It's quite a great role for him, if you don't mind me saying so.
This was to be a Tate Donovan vehicle, I believe.
Yes.
And we have Tom Skerritt sleepily wandering his way through this movie.
The concern of that crew and him throughout the movie is. But however, yes, I couldn't believe.
Had I not seen Tom Skerritt in the movie, I would have thought that he was just literally phoning the performance in, like laying on his couch, just sleepily reading the lines.
Yeah, he does have throughout. I think that too. I thought that was I didn't know if that was part of it, where he just has a lack of concern. Like, these kids are in fucking outer space, dude.
Oh, we'll get to that because I'm amazed nobody is freaking the hell out.
Exactly.
Like, there should have just been somebody screaming for a half hour straight.
Exactly. Where are these kids' parents? Okay, but anyway, go ahead.
Well, this movie, unlike a lot of teen movies, gives us an excuse why we don't see his parents, because the kids are all shipped off to space camp. Not shipped off, but most of them are there because they want to be there. I'm still not sure why Tate Donovan's there. I have no idea.
Because his dad bought him a Jeep. It was some sort of exchange. He comes rolling in the Jeep.
That was the deal?
Yes, he mentions that, I think. I think he... In order to get the Jeep from his dad, he had to go to space camp.
Wow. Oh, geez.
So he could care less, but then
Boy, and I'm going to walk us through this, and that seems like a key plot element that I missed. All right, so anyway, we open... It's very bizarre because we open, 20 years before this movie takes place?
Yeah, with the little girl.
Kate Capshaw is a little girl. Mm-hmm. She's on a farm. She's sitting in the... It's like that Andrew Wyeth painting where the woman's like off in the field, in the wheat field, like laying there. But it's at night, and she looks up at the sky and says, John Glenn winked at her. It's very bizarre.
Yeah, it is a very bizarre... I thought so, too. When I was like, where are we going with this? There's the shooting star, and then the first guy you see is Tom Skerritt, and I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to think.
Yes, and she becomes a fighter pilot or something like that, right?
Yeah.
She gets out of a, I don't know, some sort of... I don't know anything about planes.
Military?
But it's a plane, some sort of plane that has bombs or guns on it.
Yes.
So she gets out, and we're quickly introduced to Kate Capshaw and Tom Skerritt.
Yes.
They're married.
He's walked on the moon.
Right.
She has not.
Yes. Yes. He's walked on the moon. She says that she's not going to go to space.
It's not been easy, her road.
No, I can only imagine she's been turned down many times.
Yes. She's a negative Nelly in the beginning.
Well, she's really bummed out, and his condolence to her is, well, you get to work with me at space camp. Remember, that was the deal. So the deal was, I guess if I don't get chosen to do what I wanted to do my entire life, I will begrudgingly go to space camp because she is miserable.
Oh, she hates it. She's like, you're right, I get to pretend to be an astronaut for all the kids. Like, she seems like she hates kids, and she's just put out by having to do this.
And then smash cut to space camp arrival. We're suddenly there. You're right, Tate Donovan pulls up in this Jeep, and I could not get over that Tate Donovan is the bad boy in this movie. You put glasses on him, he's the nerd of the movie. Like,
Agreed.
I can only assume that Charlie Sheen turned this down.
I think it's perfect because he's kind of a good, adorable geek for the movie. Charlie Sheen would have been too badass. You wouldn't have believed they put Charlie into space. But in this case, I guess it's just he wasn't selling it to me. He wasn't selling that Rebel Man.
No. And what is he listening to?
Rebel Man. That's the name of the song. Yes.
Who sings that?
I don't really know. It's
what's his name? Who's the guy whose kid died? Oh, this sounds so terrible. Fell out of a window.
Oh, Eric Clapton?
Yes, it's Eric Clapton. It's 80s Eric Clapton, like 80s rock and roll.
Yes.
Eric Clapton. That's terrible. Eric Clapton, if you're listening, I apologize that I didn't know your name and referred to the death of your infant son. That's terrible.
Out of a window is very tragic.
Oh, I know. It's awful.
But anyway, nobody in space camp falls out a window.
No. Okay, anyway. I do a gag they do, not a gag, but a thing they do in this movie a couple times is I love how a lot of the music comes from his Jeep or comes from like a boombox.
Oh yeah, it's playing from somewhere else.
Yeah,
and then
so when he shuts off the ignition, like the song stops. I kind of like that. And they do that more than once.
I agree. Yeah, I've noticed that too. Very jazzy.
So he's bad boying it up.
And he rolls in his little Jeep there that Papa got him. So that's when we meet all the space campers. Now, I love the way Catherine flies in. Literally. She flies.
Yeah, Leah Thompson flies in some bi-wing plane. And at first I thought, that's really weird. But then I thought, well, there's space camp. I assume that you can just fly in. Like, there's enough places to land, I assume.
I would hope that they have some landing strips available there.
And those are the only two that we see arrive. So we know that they're our main characters. Right. But we see the other kids like get their badges and stuff like that. Or everybody's split into color-coded teams, right?
I guess that's how it happens at the real space camp.
That's right. So how many of them are in the team? There's 5 of them?
There's I think I know all their names. Catherine, Kevin. Wow. Those are the two. Rudy is our African American, who is a lot of fun. There's Tish, our blonde, and then there's little old Max.
Yeah, he's a lot younger. Mm-hmm. The rest of them are, I'm going to say, in their mid-20s.
Yes.
Even though they're all, I guess, high school seniors. Seniors,
I would say that they would have to still be in high school. Yeah.
Right. And Joaquin Phoenix is about 10.
Yeah, he's maybe. Like 9. Well, he's supposed to be in the junior camp.
Right,
and he
pushes... He says something like, I've been in the junior camp for 3 years. Is Kate Capshaw his aunt?
They have an interesting relationship. I think that she must work begrudgingly the camp every summer.
Oh my God.
She's just built a relationship. I don't think they're related. I don't think so, but he does kind of have like a mother auntish vibe, I guess, with her.
Okay. I didn't know, and I watched this twice.
Oh.
I watched this twice.
I want to watch it again.
I can't wait. I watched it for pure enjoyment. And about halfway through, I went, oh no, I haven't been taking notes. I have to watch this again. So they're all on the same team because Tate Donovan switches IDs with a Japanese guy or something.
Take a Machado or something. It's clear from the start that he's got a little crush on,
Leah Thompson.
So he kind of follows her team or makes sure that he is on her team.
Yes. That is one thing I remember about this movie. I had a huge crush on Leah Thompson from this movie.
Ah!
Like, most people probably think of her as, Marty McFly's mom?
Yeah.
Maybe Caroline in the City?
Sure.
No, every time I see her, I'm like, oh, that girl from
You see her in a spacesuit. You're just let's get out of this world.
I can only assume I saw this movie maybe 20 times on HBO when I was younger.
For the love of Leah Thompson. or for the love of space? Why did you love it then?
Oh boy, I don't want to call myself a super space nerd because I'm sure that there are super space nerds that are listening.
Okay.
I don't know why I'm assuming that.
I'm sure
But yeah, I wanted nothing more than to go to space when I was a kid. That would be so exciting. And to go to space camp, I think would have been really great. So I guess that's why I watched this a lot, yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
This movie could also have been retitled Kate Capshaw Hates Leah Thompson, the movie.
Oh, yeah. They do. She's not nice to her throughout, but it's for a good reason. She's
But I don't think it starts as a good reason. I think she's just miserable to be there.
True.
She sees this girl who reminds her of herself.
Right.
And she basically says, listen, it's a man's world. Screw you.
She's a bitter Betty about things.
I'm making this Tate Donovan loser who basically says, I don't want to be here. I hate space.
He acknowledges it right off the bat.
She puts him in charge of the group and just randomly assigns everybody else, I don't know, posts or whatever.
Yes.
And is very rude. At one point, she gives Rudy his position. And he says something like, oh, this is so great. My dad was telling me while we're at space camp, she's like, listen, you know what? We'll talk about that later.
Yeah, she cuts him right off.
They're at space camp. Yeah. Like, this is what you're supposed to be talking to these kids about. And she makes fun of Kelly Preston. She makes fun of the fact that she says like a lot, and she's kind of a valley girl.
Well, she is. She is that, but she's like an oxymoron because she's the blonde with the
right. She has like
but she's super smart
eidetic memory, right?
Yes, she can memorize the information and spit it. Yes, she's very, very special.
Rudy wants nothing more than to set up a fast food chain on the moon or something like that.
Which you gotta love. You gotta love.
Great. I love it when he says, I love science, but I'm not that great at it.
He's a little hard on himself at times, but he does, as we all know, pull through in the end of this movie. That Rudy.
So we have our group, our cast set up.
Let us not forget our other cast member. Even though he's not human.
Right, when she's showing them the grounds, because this is the weirdest thing in this movie. And when I saw that there was a robot in this, which I had forgotten, I had all these Rocky IV flashbacks. I couldn't get past it.
Oh, no.
But yeah, so they meet this robot named Jinx.
Yes.
Right?
Jinx.
Named Jinx, who's basically... it's said is a waste of money. Just a waste of money.
Yeah, he doesn't quite get things. He's too literal, and the government just closets him.
What an odd issue for a robot to have. What an odd issue for NASA to go, this is, for some reason, we programmed this thing to be way too literal. Let's just shelve it and have it help guys in the repair shop or something.
Yeah, essentially that's what it did. One
guy talks about a ratchet.
The handyman.
Says, right. Yeah. Where's my ratchet? And the robot gives it to him and says, it's in your hand.
But this was the time for movies where there was relationships with boys and robots and boys and aliens, and so makes sense.
Yeah, well, what's his name? Max has an unhealthy Star Wars
obsession. Right. Oh, yes, this is true. Max is a little bit obsessive. About things, you'd say, and I guess Star Wars is one of those things he talks in Star Wars-ese, I guess.
They do, I guess, a pretty good job of having him be a child because his reactions to things are way over the top. And
that's his rich acting. I don't know what you're thinking. That's just amazing acting.
Even at a young age, we knew Joaquin Phoenix would be wonderful.
Yes. Of course. I did. I didn't know. See, I had never seen Space Camp, and I remember seeing Joaquin, who was then Lee Phoenix, in the movie Parenthood. Do you remember that movie?
Yes, sure.
And he was in it, and that I had a little girl or a teenage, I guess, crush on him. Then I didn't know he was in any other movie, or I didn't know he was the little key boy in the space camp. I had never seen this movie before.
No, I didn't know it was him until I started watching.
But yeah, he gets this healthy love for the Jinxie. It's love at first site.
Oh, he loves this robot. He loves it. It's kind of a cool looking robot too. It's little. It's like a ball, but it has these little legs and arms that kind of come out.
Right.
It's kind of neat looking. I mean, again, comparing it to the Rocky IV robot, it's much better than that robot.
Yes.
It looks like a NASA robot.
Oh yeah,
but again,
it is.
I think they say it's $2 million.
Oh, I don't remember the price.
I think that's what they say, which becomes even more confusing as the movie goes on. But we'll get there. We're then introduced to where they sleep. Like they have a boys' bunk.
They have bunking. Yes.
Yeah, almost like military barracks. Right. So you have the boys in one and the girls in the other.
Yeah, we get to see the girls hanging out together, getting to be girly together, doing or trying to do makeup lessons, and I guess what girls do when they bunk together, Talking about the size of the dude's hands. It was all very funny, the dialogue.
Yes.
Yeah.
Did you notice, and this is one thing that was really kind of sad and upsetting about this movie, this movie was released 5 months after the Challenger exploded.
Yes! How controversial!
That is terrible.
Yeah!
I mean, just either throw this movie away or wait like a year.
Inspire a nation with it. Inspire a nation.
And I didn't think about it much while I was watching it, how odd and upsetting that must be, except when the girls are in their bunk behind Leah Thompson on the wall, because of course they filmed this before the Challenger exploded.
I didn't know this.
There's a picture of that teacher lady who went up.
Yeah, Krista McAuliffe.
Yes, there's a picture of her on the wall behind that. And that was like a weird little reminder, and I kind of saw that and I went...
Trippy.
But I didn't know when this was filmed. That made me get on and go, oh, this must have been right around that same time.
Yeah.
And then I looked, I was like, oh, that's so upsetting.
Yeah, kind of poor timing, but then kind of, because, I mean, I don't know. I was inspired to go to space at the end of this movie, and I had never, when I grew up, I thought the planets in outer space were interesting, but I didn't know about no space camp. I wasn't fascinated with outer space. When I ended this movie, I wanted to go to outer space. I wanted to be an astronaut.
You know what? I don't have millions of dollars, but I could film you in front of a green screen and put Earth behind you and make it look just as good as it did in this movie.
Better than this movie, for sure.
A little bit.
Absolutely.
I could make you float to the moon like you're about to hit it. Yeah, so the girls are bunking together. The guys are bunking together. And all the older guys, they're giving Max a hard time.
Oh, right. Yes. They tease him because he's, expected. He's the little guy. And he's keeping some secrets in his closet. Let's be real here.
He stole that robot.
Yes! He loved it so much.
He stole a $2 million robot.
And put it in his closet, in his little bunker camp area.
Did you notice that the older guys say something to it like, come on over here, and the robot comes toward one guy, and they all freak out, and they go, he literally does what we tell him to do. And then they just tell him to do these weird things, like spin around, touch your toes, come over here.
They kind of bully him. Yeah.
Freaks out and breaks.
Yeah, it shorts itself out. Max has to fix it because, oh my gosh, what a horrible thing. Picking on his BFF like that.
Again, this is horrible design by NASA. Like, shouldn't this thing be voice controlled? Like, only certain people can make it do stuff.
Right. And how does it really follow that many commands? Yeah. But that's okay. NASA might have, not done their best job on this, but Max loves the Jinx.
He loves it. He fixes the robot. There's a very touching scene.
Oh,
you texted me a picture. Where like kneeling down.
They're
Dark.
hugging.
Oh, it's very.
It's a beautiful
adorable
relationship between the boy and the robot. The boy who's clearly an outcast, even with kids in his age group, and now he's with these older boys because he loves space so much. And the only friend he has is this, robot. They're going to be friends forever.
Well, not really, because Tate Donovan kind of sticks up for him.
Oh, yes.
He comes in
kind of
and
like
says,
a big brother.
Stop messing with... Right, yeah. So he kind of plays the role of the big brother here.
Yes.
And there's more to that as we go.
Oh,
but
yeah.
Yeah, that's basically all he's got is that robot. Then we're treated to a montage of them learning about space.
Oh, yes, getting all the lessons in, learning all of the, getting suited and whatnot, right?
It is great because the whole montage is Kate Capshaw doing a voiceover of everything.
Yes.
Like, here's this, and then you have to get in this spacesuit and everything. There's a great scene where Leah Thompson's sitting at a computer, and Kate Capshaw's standing over her shoulder, and the voiceover's saying stuff like, and then you have to input these coordinates, but that's not right. You have to delete this one. But it's not what she's saying in the scene, so it's really weird. Because the rest of the voiceover, like, she's not in the shots.
Right.
But she was in that one. I thought that was very strange.
Just bizarre.
They spend a lot of time explaining things that aren't really all that important or, in my mind, aren't all that interesting. But, boy, they gloss over so much stuff, which I think would be, I don't know, some of the stuff about space, some of the stuff that I think you might want to know.
Yeah.
It's just, and then you get in your spacesuit and then you just go out. Sorry. And that's it. And you're like, wow, I bet that took them like a day and a half. But nope, we didn't see any of that.
We didn't get the details. No. But that's what you get the manual for. The Space Shuttle Operator's Manual, you know?
I think, do they make reference to the manual at one point?
Yeah, I think they do. I think that they have to because, first of all, yes, because they study from it. They read their parts of it.
I think it's when they're in space and Tate Donovan looks at this manual and then, like, calls Kelly Preston up and says, do you want to read this? I guess because he knows that she'll memorize it.
Yes,
but at that point, it's too late. You're already in space.
Well, he admits that he doesn't study, he doesn't care, he doesn't try.
Right. The only thing they do spend time on is that spinny thingy.
Oh, yeah, where because she can't do it right? Isn't that the one that Catherine yeah.
Yeah, and I never knew what that was. I remember seeing that on TV shows or movies and stuff, but never really understanding what it was for. Mm-hmm. Like, I thought it was just more of an endurance thing where you got in, they spun you around.
To make sure you didn't barf or something?
Yeah, pretty much. I didn't know, like, there was a remote control and you kind of had to steady
That's the whole thing, to get her to steady the I was going to call it the plane, the shuttle, the air.
She can already fly a plane, we know that.
Well, yeah, she flew into space camp.
Right.
I mean, obvi.
Yeah, but she can't do it. She's not good at this.
Oh,
she's not good at this space stuff.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's because, as Kevin or Tate points out, she's a little too hard on herself, you know?
She is. And she wants, it's not even that she's too hard on herself. She wants to be in total control. She's a control freak.
Yeah, exactly.
So then they go on a date.
Yes. He's not pursuing space camp. He's just pursuing this chick. Right. So they go on a date to check the shuttle out.
Mm-hmm. I know a great place. I know a great spot where we can see the shuttle.
Yes, and he doesn't. It's that I Spy robot Jinxie, right? Or Jinxie that tells them where to go and how to sneak out. He's a knowledgeable robot.
Yeah, the robot helps him sneak off campus.
Yeah,
I guess that's what it would be considered.
For their space camp purposes.
And it's not even really sneaking off because I thought he's in
he drives his Jeep right into the,
Right, I thought it was going to be something where they're going under fences or something like that.
He's just like, oh, you mean I just drive my car down the road?
He's like, oh, that road over there, not the one that goes to the gate. But no, the robot and, this is what's so great, the robot and Max both help him because Max helps him to talk to the robot because, of course, the robot takes everything too literally. So Max sort of knows how to talk to the robot.
Right.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so they go out on a date. Okay. Now, again, this is where our opinions are probably going to start to diverge.
Okay.
Like I had said, Tom Skerritt doesn't do a great job in this movie. Maybe he just doesn't have a whole lot to do. I think it's a little bit of that, and it's a little bit of probably a Tom Skerritt cash grab. I have a feeling.
Cash grab.
He's reading the script on his way to the set, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Tate Donovan, Leah Thompson, no chemistry between those two whatsoever.
Well, it does feel somewhat forced. Because they're such opposites. You know, their personalities are such opposites. But I sense a little chemistry between them. I sense enough to to want things to work out.
He is awkward and uncomfortable.
Well,
and this is what this is what he should not be. He's the bad boy. He should have confidence.
But he's a space camp bad boy. For him to really succeed at space camp, he can't be bad boy. He's got to be bad boy. I don't know.
That's a great impression. That was like part Jinx, part Tate Donovan. That was wonderful. I like when they're there and it almost looks like they're about to make out or they're talking or whatever.
Right.
I love it when he gets out of the Jeep only to climb onto the hood of the Jeep to then just sit.
Better view of the shuttle.
I don't know what kind of direction he's given here, but no. I didn't write down a whole lot of dialogue, but I did write this down. I like it when she's all wrapped up in space. It's all she could talk about.
Oh, she's obsessed, yeah.
I love it when he says, "What's the point of going to space? Yeah. We're all just going to get nuked anyway."
Yeah. I don't care.
And her response is, "That's just an excuse for people who are afraid to try." Not really. I've never heard that excuse before. But it is the 80s, you know. We may get nuked at any moment. You're right. If Rocky IV taught us anything, it's that the Cold War was terrifying.
It was a scary...
So Tom Skerritt and Kate Capshaw are apparently the only people working this camp.
I know, surprisingly enough, yeah. Even though there's tons of kids, but there's just these, Yeah,
they flip out that they're not there. The teenagers may be making out somewhere.
And P.S. Jinx the robot gives that shit away.
This is a problem. They don't want these two making out. That kid stole a $2 million robot, and they do not care. The robot gives it away.
But two of our teenage campers might be going to second base together out by the shuttle.
Oh,
WTF.
They don't say anything to Max.
No.
His parents are not notified to pick him up the next day because he stole a robot.
He's too adorable. They can't. Oh, well, they get caught, and then that's when Kevin gets so frustrated with Max for the stupid robot thing, and that's when we see Max, poor sweet Max, have his breakdown. He cries, he runs away, right?
Yeah, and Max is not the most childish one in that scene because Kevin is such a jerk. That kid helped him make out with Leah Thompson.
Yeah.
And he goes off and he's like, "This isn't Star Wars. The Force isn't real. I'm not Han Solo."
It's really
I don't think anybody ever called him Han Solo, but he says he's not him.
No, I think that Max does.
Oh, he does.
Because Max is Luke, I think, and he looks at Yeah,
and he flips
But he
out.
really
like,
is mean, yeah.
Oh, he's so mean. He's like, "Stay away from me." It's terrible.
Yeah, and for what? Because he got caught making, he didn't get kicked out of camp or anything. I think because the girl was then mad.
Right.
She was
and
mad.
the robot's the one who gave him away anyway.
Right.
When Tom Skerritt goes in, well, it doesn't even show him go in. We smash cut to Max in his bed saying, "I'll never tell." So he doesn't tell.
That's right.
He has a flashlight shining in his face. It's great, but no, he doesn't tell. But no, Tate Donovan flips out on him, and that's when he wanders off with his robot and says...
Oh, but this is really sweet. This is when this is when I realized what space is to...
This is when he realized what robot love was.
Yes, exactly, and how that could inspire someone. Especially like little Max. He wants to be in space. Things on Earth aren't going his way. It ain't easy here on this planet. Mm-hmm. So he just wishes that he could just be in space. That's all he wants.
Yeah. And you do not say that to a robot that takes everything you say literally.
Not your new NASA buddy who is quick to...
And the robot wanders into a completely empty control area of NASA. He plugs in. He's talking to his computer buddies. It's like there's a whole bunch of computers and machines talking to each other. And he basically comes up with some way for them to go to space.
Yes.
Which doesn't happen for a few days, but it makes it seem like he's in that room talking to those computers the whole time.
Yes.
Because there's a whole lot of movie before we come back to the robot, and he's still in that room talking to his computer buddy.
And I love PS because it is the 80s. I love the computers and all of the technology and how dated it all looks now and how even the little robot voice, I mean...
Oh, it's like watching an old episode of Star Trek with, with William Shatner. There's just big buttons lighting up in random patterns. It's great. But this was filmed at Space Camp, so it makes me wonder, like, maybe that is what was happening, or maybe they just do that for the kids. I don't know.
Oh.
And do they have an actual shuttle at Space Camp? Did you do any research on this? Because I didn't.
Oh, at the real Space Camp?
Yeah, or is it all simulators and stuff like that, and is it all made up that there'd be an actual shuttle launch?
I don't know that they actually do a shuttle launch. I wish I was.
Because it's in Alabama, right?
No, I thought it was in Florida.
No, the
camp is in Huntsville. Yeah, the camp is in Huntsville, Alabama, I think. I don't know. I wish I did know.
This is riveting conversation.
Yeah.
We should have done research for.
I might attend Space Camp next year, FYI, as an adult. Because
I will go. I'll let you run it. I assume that we can run this. It doesn't seem all that difficult.
Well,
don't get launched into space by accident.
If you're Tom Skerritt, then no, it's not so difficult because you just stay and barely panic back on Earth while the...
No panic. I started to wonder if he really likes his wife.
Or he's just hoping that she gets lost in space. Well, with a bunch of knuckleheads.
They're all dead. Yeah. This is the only scene where we actually see them training. Is the next scene, and I kind of like it because it shows how terrible each and every one of them are at their job. They're in that simulator.
Yeah. Yes, they're in the simulator doing like I guess that's what they really do have at Space Camp is those simulators, like you said. And yeah, they're doing their flight test, and yeah, they all fail miserably for the most part.
Yeah, and I feel like it's again put that it's Lea Thompson's fault. Remember, she gets out of her seat to go back and yell at Rudy for doing something wrong.
Yeah.
And this, I kept rewinding and watching this part because it blew my mind. When they're watching the video, like Kate Capshaw and Tom Skerritt are watching them on a video monitor.
Right.
And she's like, where's Lea Thompson? I need you to fly this thing. And Tate Donovan turns around and in an oddly racist Hispanic accent starts going, "Hey man, that's not my job. I don't know that. You don't give me that." And he goes on. And I just didn't know if it was just like, just go, Tate. Just whatever you want to do for this scene, do it. It's so out of place in this movie. Although they do make some poop jokes later. So
yeah, this is true. Yeah. This is true. I think it's showing, just that odd little sense of humor, I guess.
He's funny. He's the cut up.
Yeah.
Of the group. So they all die in their training.
Yeah. It's no survivors.
They crash. He's like, ah!
Yeah.
He's flailing around, and everything goes red, and they're all dead. And Kate Capshaw's really mad.
Oh, she's pissed. She's pissed. And these kids could potentially, and do, go to space, so they can't freaking fail.
Yeah, but how would that even be a possibility? How would you go into Space Camp and be like, listen, there's a chance that they might go to space?
Can you imagine if that was the deal in Space Camp? Like, so not only do you get chosen, but there's a 10% chance or whatever, one out of every whatever number of you might get actually in the shuttle to go to space. No pressure.
I wonder if do you think that would draw more? Or do you think that would make people terrified to go to space?
I think that's what every kid dreamed of that went to Space Camp. They were like, they're going to put me in that fucking shuttle, and all of a sudden, I'm going to be in outer space. They didn't go to Space Camp. I mean, sure, for all the action of the Space Camp, but I think that was the dream. Space Camp, the goal was space.
You're right. No, you're right. And they are there with Kate Capshaw, and she is a bona fide woman who always wanted to go to space. So
she's a pilot too, isn't she? A pilot.
Right. Yeah, she's Lea Thompson.
Yeah, this is true. She's like 14.
So they decide to do, and it's a weird tiny scene where Tom Skerritt is putting stuff up on a push pin board at Space Camp.
Yes.
And Leah Thompson and Kelly Preston come up and they're like, "Oh, what's this all about?" And he's like, "Oh, there's going to be an engine test.
Oh, right,
and
right.
One group is going to be able to sit in a shuttle and go through an engine test. Why this group is chosen after they have clearly failed is beyond me. They are the stars of the movie.
Yes, so that's why they get to go. And they are all of a sudden inside a real freaking shuttle. The real deal. Not the simulator. It's a space stimulator. Go where you want to. But there you have it.
I think that's the bathroom in space.
Oh.
Or as Tate Donovan calls it, Mr. Thirsty.
But it's such an awkward scene. We're so not weird. There yet, but it's so awkward. Oh, I laughed out loud often in this movie, and that was one of those scenes where I just cackled.
So Jinx rigs it so that the shuttle, like, it...
Thermal curtain failure, I think, is the actual...
Holy shit, how did you...
Because I wrote that... Well, first of all, they say it over and over again, Jinxie and his robot friends.
Okay.
They're all about the thermal curtain failure that I was like, this seems important, I should write it down.
Right.
And, yes, that is what will boost the shuttle, I guess, and get the engine not just being tested to be...
Right. And, well, they make it so that NASA has to launch it.
But yes.
So that it doesn't explode.
Right.
Kill everyone.
Well, and Jinxie knows he doesn't want to kill Max. He just wants to bring Max into outer space.
Right.
Right?
Although at one point I think he says fly, Max, and I could have swore he said die. I'm like, that's so weird. Yeah, so they get in the space shuttle and Tom Skerritt and John Locke from Lost.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, so Good John Locke's there, and they have to launch them into space so that the shuttle doesn't explode.
Right.
Again, I am reminded of the Challenger disaster. It's amazing because Kate Capshaw wants to pilot it or has to pilot it. So she gets Leah Thompson out of her seat.
Yeah,
and there's no seat for Leah Thompson, and she flies back.
She's just floating around.
She flies back and is pinned against the back of the shuttle for the entire launch. And I thought that was great because it shows them all sitting there all nervous and they're rocking back and forth. And she's just pinned above Max and Kelly Preston.
Yes.
And this is, again, we talked about it earlier, but how is nobody flipping out?
Nobody on. Actually, when the shuttle takes off, there's somebody back at camp going, like, go, baby, go. They're excited for the blast off. And it's like, wait a minute.
Yeah, how is no one at NASA seems to care?
It appears minimal. The concern that these children are now in space with this woman who was supposedly banned from space for some reason. Now they've taken the space shuttle up.
Yeah, and this is something where, like, it almost makes it seem like this is routine. Like,
yeah.
Not
this
a big
happens
deal.
Every summer at our camp. It's fine. That's what I mean. I think kids just assumed if they went to space camp, there'd be a 1 in whatever chance that they'd get to be in orbit.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Because those guys, I guess, are professionals, so I get that. But how are none of those kids just, like, screaming? How is it that people like Kelly Preston isn't just screaming and then, like, Kate Capshaw has to slap her?
She does get a little hysterical in this movie, though. She, out of all of them, now these kids are put through a lot once we're in space. There's a lot of pressure to get back in, and Kelly Preston she's very stressed very easily. I guess you could say.
2 different times in the movie, she says, "Oh no, we're dead.
Yeah,
we're dead, aren't we? This is it. I'm dead." Like, this is her reaction, I guess.
Yes.
Anytime anything bad. Yeah, it is. I did write down, Tom Skerritt pumps his fist and says, "Come on." And that's the most acting he does in this entire movie. That's the most emoting he does. Because I assume, and not to cut too far to the end of this movie, but wow, what an abrupt ending, first of all.
Oh, I know. All of a sudden, we're back. And
I almost feel like there was a scene at the end where they're like, okay, and everybody gets off, and Tom's scared. You run up to Kate Capshaw, and you hug her, and you're crying, and he's like, no, I'm not doing that. Nope. Nope. You have me till the end of the day.
Right.
Let's get this
and then
done,
we're done,
and then I'm out of here.
Right. Me and the robot, we're off. We're no more.
Right. The only thing missing from this movie was somebody handing him an envelope of money. Thanks for being in this movie, and him just walking off set.
Waving. Right. Stroking his mustache as he goes. Right. Almost as good as being in orbit and floating.
Oh, the floating is great.
It's so rad. And
I assume it's real, right? Like, that's... The weightlessness is real.
Yeah,
you can't fake that.
No. I assume that it looked hella fun, is what it looked like.
Okay. Because as bad as space looked, that the weightlessness looked real. So I assumed that was real.
But the spaceship itself and the space they go to looks horrible. It's very, very crazy, fake, phony. 80s awesome. 80s awesome, I guess, is what it is.
I really love how they're in space, and they're in such awe of being in space. And they're looking out the windows.
Wouldn't you be? It's amazing.
No. Again, that makes total sense.
Oh, gotcha.
But about 10 seconds after this, Max goes, I want to go home.
Yeah, he's over it. What a spoiled brat, right?
Oh, my God.
For as sweet as he is, he wants to go home. And Andy or Kate says, I want to check this mother out. She's ready.
She's really
excited. Thrilled about the idea of being in space with these Mamalukes.
Yeah.
And Max is probably hungry. Later on, we discover he needs to take a poop.
And he has a candy bar. Do you see when Kelly Preston's at the candy bar at one point, and everybody looks at her and she goes, Max. So he brought candy for this simulation that was supposed to take 20 minutes.
He's a kid. You need your sugar high.
Oh, you're right. That is a good point. Yeah. Yeah, it's great. The brief time they're in space without disaster or issue. It's really nice.
Yeah.
It's really nice.
It's very joyful.
It's majestic. It's the first time that you see them kind of act like kids and sort of have a good time. And they're looking out and they're like, oh, is that India? Oh, there's the Swiss Alps. Look at the sunset. I like that. That was really cool.
And it's setting and it's rising because they're seeing it all so fast because they're in space. So they're seeing all this. Yeah.
But there's an issue.
Bad news. Bad news comes.
One tank of oxygen.
The shuttle was not flight ready.
Nope. No. Not clearly. The only thing that it didn't have was oxygen.
Right.
Rest of it, ready to go. But yeah, they don't. Re-entry is in 12 hours. They have to wait 12 hours for, I guess, the Earth to rotate. Right?
Yeah. I don't know the science behind it, but sure. Yeah.
Yeah, the Earth rotates on its axis. But they only have 11 hours of oxygen.
Yes.
So that would be cutting
it
too tight. I guess people can't live for an hour without oxygen. So they need oxygen.
Yes.
And what do they do? What does Kate Capshaw come up with?
She's got a brilliant idea. They're going to go dataless, is what they call it.
Yeah, I don't think it's real. I think it's made up. But yeah,
it's where they have another space storage of oxygen. It's in a whole other orbit.
It's a space station that's under construction.
All right. Yes.
Okay.
It's not quite completed, but Kate knows how to get there. Andy. I think Andy is her name in the movie.
Yeah, sorry. I'm using all
their...
Except for Leif Erikson. I'm not using his
That's not even his name.
I know, that was a Viking. Well, his name's easy. Max and Jinx.
Max and Jinx. Yeah.
And Rudy, only because he's not that famous. No offense. Hold on, let me scroll up. No offense, Larry Scott, but I'm going to call you Rudy. So they have oxygen on this space station, and there's tanks of it, and she decides that she could go out and kind of like turbo boost around on a jetpack.
Yeah, which is pretty freaking rad if you ask me.
It's very cool.
To get the other oxygen tanks that are stored there and put them in and plug them in, and she's got a good plan. She's got a real good plan, is what she's got.
It's a great plan, except nothing about this plan works.
No, there's complete... They have one mishap after the other, and it really is very tense for this group. Really tense.
Yes, but this is such a long part of the movie that it was tense for a little while. And then I just felt like it was really long and just dragging. Like, how many times can you have people float away?
Yes. Well, true. But, I did feel like after a while we were kind of snowballing one. Okay, already. Let's just get them all safely back and in.
Yes.
Before we... Okay. Well, we can't miss that in the midst of all of this is when Max has to take he has to use the restroom.
Oh, he has to poop? I think. I don't know. There's mixed signals here. And we should be talking about people spacewalking, but this is much more interesting, I think. Because he climbs out of this, portal, whatever.
Resting place, yeah.
Yeah, says to Tate Donovan, who's kind of just lounging. Like, he's just...
They have 15 hours or whatever. They have a couple hours.
He got kicked out of his seat.
Right.
Remember, Leah Thompson took over as the...
Right.
I don't even know what he was.
The pilot.
No.
No, she's the pilot. He's the space commander. You're right.
Commander. So Max says, I don't know how to work this. And Tate Donovan takes him down to the toilet.
Yes.
And then he starts saying things like, it's just like a dentist chair. No, it's not. I don't take my pants off at the dentist. And then he takes out this suction thing. It was like a vacuum cleaner. Yes. And says, it's Mr. Thirsty. And then he says, it's not like you're using it for anything else. So I was like, is he talking about his dick or poop? Because then he says, turn on the fan. So I don't know if he has to piss or he has to shit.
It's a very, very bizarre, it's random, it happens, and I kind of love it.
My favorite part of the movie. Hands down, my favorite part of the movie. That was great.
Don't they lose power at some point? Or they lose a connection?
Immediately they can't
all
talk
these
to
things
NASA.
go wrong, right? And one of the things that goes wrong, besides that they're low on, they are totally not space ready. They lose their oxygen. They don't have enough oxygen, and then they lose their connection to NASA.
Right.
And so they're trying to figure out how to reconnect. And Tish, because she's kind of like this fucking weird savant, blonde, ditzy kind of blonde, she has the Morse code idea.
Right.
To talk to them in Morse code, and it's just a cool, it's the 3 women only or the 3 girls only, and they kind of work it through. And
it is nice because they give everybody justification for being there one by one.
Yes, exactly.
She
with
comes
all their
up with
strengths.
the Morse code thing. And then it's great that she comes up with it, but then every time you flash to her, she's just
hitting the Morse
button.
code. Yeah, she's just like
hitting this button. And I love how it goes to Morse code at the one station at NASA where nobody is sitting. The guy is right next to the button, but he's looking at his own computer
he's just
screen,
ignoring it.
and then there's just an empty chair. So what's her name goes off in a rocket booster to get this oxygen.
Right.
And her parting words are basically...
Don't move, don't talk.
Don't move, don't talk. So Rudy starts talking. He tells this crazy story about a swimmer who could hold his breath for hours.
Yes.
Thinking about French fries. And they kindly tell him to shut up because he's wasting
because he's wasting their O2. Yeah, it's true.
And they are freaked out by this. Well, the fact that there's no oxygen in a few hours, but yeah, rightfully so. They're kind of freaked out because the only person that knows what they're doing is now gone.
This is the kind of intense. This is what I mean. Is this fivesome, I guess, is put through some kind of crazy shit. First of all, to be in space was amazing, but kind of freaking crazy.
Oh yeah.
And now they might lose their O2. I would have had a heart attack. A heart attack, I tell you. Well, I don't know that for sure. I would have I don't know. Anyway.
You could have done the Morse code thing. If somebody showed you how to do it, you could sit there and probably...
I could have tapped something out. Hell, I could have piloted that baby. Anyway.
I would have been comfortable just laying around like Tate Donovan does. So, Kate Capshaw can't reach the oxygen because apparently they decide to store it in a place where a person in a spacesuit can't get to it.
Yes. She just can barely miss it, and she's like, shit, yeah.
It's a huge flaw.
Yes, major design flaw on their part. Agreed. She just isn't small enough to get in there.
So who goes out to help her?
Well, who's small enough You know.
I know. If you can't send that robot because he's not with them, you have to send Max.
His best friend. You send the robot's best friend. And that's little Maxie.
So they put Max in a spacesuit, which I was concerned because I was like, well, wait a second. The spacesuit's still the size of a normal human.
Well, they shove him in it, and then they put some ropes and belts around him, right?
It is a single belt worn by Kelly Preston, and this belt must be a mile long. Did you notice how many times it's wrapped around his body? 72 times, I'm going to say. It's around his arms, his legs, around his chest, around his neck.
It's ridiculous.
It's bright orange, and I did not see her wearing this belt at all up until this point. And again, I watched this movie twice, and I didn't see it the second time.
You looked for the belt the second time around, you're like, I'll get you this time.
I did not see it.
Oh.
And this was, other than pooping, this was my other genuine laugh in this.
When he's out into space?
When he's out, and immediately he's at the window, hitting the window saying, let me in, let me back in, I want to come back in.
He has a moment when he's first out there where he's like, whoa, like any kid, like, whoa, this is space. And then he almost shits his pants, basically. Great. And he's like, I don't want it, no, I'm just kidding. I want to go home.
Yeah, because it's just through the window of space, and his head pops into frame.
I love it.
And then he starts hitting it. It's really funny. I did enjoy that. And I like how nobody laughed. Like, I expected Leah Thompson to laugh because it was genuinely funny, and I was laughing. But no, they're like, come on, Max, you can do this. And
that's when Kevin tells him to use the Force.
Yeah, Tate Donovan comes in with a spot-on Obi-Wan Kenobi impression. Yeah. And convinces him to go.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. And
he goes out on that arm, like he's strapped into that arm thing.
Oh my God, it's so adorable. Yeah, they strap him to this like kind of like a lift, I guess, like a space lift almost, forklift.
We'll call it a space lift.
Okay.
I know what a forklift is, and it's not that. So we'll call it a space lift.
Oh, but they send him out basically then to get to save. Oh my God, and it's adorable what he does. He saves Andy.
He scares the shit out of her.
Well, which is weird because who the hell else would be in space?
And
I want to know.
They have contact with her, yet they didn't tell her what their plan was. They didn't tell her they were sending a 10-year-old out because she has no idea why he's there, where he came from. But it's great.
It's adorable. He looks at her. He was like, I've come to save you. It's adorable.
And he does. He grabs, he gets the oxygen thing. She takes one, and he has to get another one because they want one for backup.
Yeah, smart moves. Smart moves, especially with their luck.
I mean, leaving a 10-year-old alone in space might not be a real smart move because he just floats away.
That's right. He does. He starts to float up.
He floats away. And this is... Again, the effects are so bad in this movie.
Oh, they're ridiculous.
He's floating toward the moon, almost as though he's going to crash into it. Like, if he just kept going, he'd just smash into the moon. But she uses her little rocket jetpack and saves him.
Saves him, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's a little frustrated by it, as she should be.
Yeah.
But, kids.
And for all the... We talked about how great the zero gravity... Okay, I did, because I don't know why I'm obsessed with that. But when they're outside of the space shuttle, I would love to know if that was all shot in slow motion.
Oh.
Because they're talking in slow motion every time. He floats away and she goes...
helmet, so I don't know.
I know, but do you have to talk in slow motion? He floats away and she turns around and goes... Max. And at one point he goes,
I remember that.
What's happening? Like, wait, was this just shot in slow motion so it looked like they were floating?
He calls to her too. I think he goes like, Andy.
It's so weird. It's so strange because I assume you can still talk like a normal human pacing in space, right?
No, not when you're calling out for someone or at something or making I don't know. Yeah, okay. It is. I did note that too. That there is that. Yeah.
It was weird space acting.
Yes, weird space acting. Good, yes.
So, and then they have to hook the oxygen up, and boy, they're gasping for breath.
This is another very stressful time because it's got to be the right colors that go in.
I was a little stressed out at this point.
Yeah.
This did seem pretty intense here.
Yes, and are they going to get it right? Who's right?
I do love it how Rudy goes, "Oh, it's the blue one," and she opens it and there's 3 blue ones in there, which I thought was really great.
But then he changes. Isn't it the yellow one at the end? Or
No. They were arguing about which color the blue one's next to.
Gotcha.
Is it the blue next to the yellow
Yes.
or blue next to the red?
Gotcha.
And also, I said this movie could be called Kate Capshaw Hates Leah Thompson. This movie could also be called Leah Thompson Would Make a Terrible Astronaut. Because she
always
not good
panics.
she was wrong about
yes.
this. Good thing Kate Capshaw listened to Rudy, or else they would have all blown up.
Well, and he was pretty firm about it. He was like, I am right about this. I know this book. This is where he
over.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. And I believed him. I mean,
I did too.
Yeah.
And
Which,
thank
and I'm
God
glad
Kate Capshaw
yes.
hates Leah Thompson because she listened to Rudy.
Yes. Is this when the oxygen tank explodes on Andy? Right? And kind of knocks her unconscious and blasts her back out into the orbit or into space or whatever.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, so we have our second time where somebody floats away. But she's tethered to the shuttle.
That's right. Yes. That's when I have that he goes, what's happening? So yeah, she's knocked unconscious and then the door starts closing of the ship because what is it? NASA finally does locate them? Right? Isn't that how the doors start closing?
I think they finally get the Morse code, right?
Yeah. Is this the Morse code when they figure it out? Maybe.
Yeah, they do, and they get them back online. Like,
then that's the other thing. Whenever we go back again, besides Tom Skerritt's character not being very concerned, like, they mentioned at one time that the president might be a little concerned.
We should call the president.
Because they're like, people are going to know. Like, the spaceship took off. People that live here know that it's in whatever. And yeah, everybody back at home seems a little too, like, it's all right. She's got this.
We'll get them back.
They'll be okay.
No, don't worry about that.
Yeah,
it's not a big deal.
I mean, they're not.
He gives them like a really pissy response, like, "Oh, just tell them we accidentally launched kids into space. Nobody will believe it."
Yeah, that's right.
Jeez,
really kind of
pompous. You don't have to be such a creep. Yeah. Just bring these kids back.
Right. Oh.
So they get the shuttle back on autopilot, which I guess is a thing, which makes me think I probably could have gone to space and been okay if they can just take over and bring me home.
And I just sit back and eat candy bars and float around.
So the shuttle doors start to close on this tether. So Kate Capshaw would have been outside of the space shuttle as it re-entered Earth.
How creepy that would be.
That would be a terrible way to die.
And they know that. The crew knows that. And even though...
most of them know it. Leah Thompson, willing to make that sacrifice.
This is when she freezes again. She has so many moments where she's willing to make that sacrifice.
Yeah,
she's like, you were kind of a bitch to me, so...
Yeah, there's like a countdown thing to when autopilot takes over, I guess.
Yeah.
So you see the clock ticking down. Kate Capshaw's going to die. Leah Thompson's not pressing the button, even though I guess she's in charge and should make the decision. Oh, yeah. Kate Capshaw leaves her in charge before she goes out to spacewalk. Yeah. But no, Tate Donovan steps in and saves her life.
Yeah.
Again, Leah Thompson, not ready for space.
No. Not ready for space. But then again... Man, this is some shit that these kids are dealing with now. Like, do you save this woman? We're in space. We could die. What the hell? Like, this is not an easy situation to make a decision off of. So even though she's not great under pressure in outer space, those are two... I mean, I don't know how great I'd be under pressure in outer space either.
Well, no. And that's a great question that you could ask yourself.
And I did after this movie.
Right.
I was like, fuck. Yeah.
So they bring her in, they put her in a sleeping bag, and that's kind of where she is for the rest of the movie.
Yeah, she's laid
Kate
up.
Capshaw doesn't really do anything.
She's injured.
That's right. Yeah, she's kind of out of it. And I love how Tate Donovan diagnoses her, and he's like, oh, she's got a few broken ribs and a broken arm.
Right. When all we know about him before that is he drove a Jeep to camp and could care less about life. You know? But,
and then Rudy asks him a question. He goes, I don't know. I'm not a doctor.
I like that his voice is a lot like your Polly voice. Is that why you don't like
characters that I don't like? That's the characters I hate voice.
I see. See, now I also thought that even though this is when then you see, oh, he's a bad boy, but he's sweet. He's a geeky, loving bad boy.
He's a hooker with a heart of gold.
There you go. And there you go.
So they missed their re-entry window.
Oh, jeez.
They don't have enough oxygen for another pass.
They're missing a miracle.
Because it was wasted. It flew out when she somehow got blown away. I don't even know how that happened.
Yeah, she was so careful with the first the oxygen tank, not so much with the second one.
Yeah. Oh, we forgot. Well, they're gonna land in Arizona.
This is White Sands. Yeah, they decide to land. Yeah, New Mexico.
Or as Rudy says, White Plains.
Yeah,
White Plains,
White
New York.
Plains. And they're like, that's in New York. That's right. But Rudy's the one that starts that. Hey, there's a place. So, again, it's good teamwork. It's good everybody listening to each other.
Right.
And yeah.
We did miss one line that I did write down, and it was when NASA finds the SOS, because Kelly Preston's kind of freaking out, and the light starts, and she's like, well, what is this all about? And then she looks at it, realizes what it is, and this is her line: whip me, beat me, take away my charge card. NASA's calling.
I wrote that line down, too. Because it was like, where the hell did that come from? Well, so the Morse code is read. I wrote this. So Jinx is the one that helps them know that the Morse code is what's happening. And I wrote, whip me, beat me, take away my charge card.
Such a great line.
What?
Such a great
line.
NASA
is talking.
And I guess, again, that's like, what would a Valley girl say? I don't know. Write this down. It sounds like something they might say.
Stop it. I love it.
Wow, there's like a minute left to this movie at this point.
Yeah, and then it all kind of ends really quickly. So the last minute though, so this is tense though, when they have to get back, fly back into, I guess, orbit or back to Earth and land, and they, again, Catherine terrible under pressure, and she's got to angle this shuttle just right so that she gets in and they don't explode. The spinny thing. Yeah. And they watch the numbers go up and down, and she's got to hit like 30 or 32 or something. And that's, I think, when we hear, I'm going to die. We're dead. We're dead, aren't we dead?
Yes, we're dead.
We hear that again. Yes. And the spaceship is kind of tumbling to Earth.
It is.
We don't know. It literally is like
the place.
Uh-huh.
In a movie of bad effects, that was a really bad session.
Yeah, yes.
It's like
and
they took a toy space shuttle and just flipped it around and just filmed it.
It's true. Very true. But you know what? She does it. She makes it out, and
she redeems herself.
Yes, she does it.
Stock footage of a shuttle landing. Yeah. The end.
Yep.
That's it.
And then we end. And then that's it.
No celebration. No reunion. No somebody getting off and like kissing the ground or something. No Leah Thompson jumping into Tate Donovan's arms. Like what?
I want to see Max reunited with Jenks.
How is there not an ending like that in this movie?
No, the ship just lands and it's just bum 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 bum, and then that's it. And then I want to go to outer space, and I want to sign myself up for space camp. And I'm so sad that my childhood was without this movie, because I had so much fun. I had so much fun in outer space with this crew. I was.
We've discussed it. I thought maybe you could turn me. Now listen, I made it. I'm talking, and I tried to focus on parts of this movie that were a lot of fun, and there were some fun parts.
The whole movie, we just talked for an hour, and I had a blast because the movie was a blast.
But I feel like if I weren't watching it for this podcast, picking out all of the humorous and bizarre things about it, it's so boring. I was so bored by this movie.
Bored?
Yes.
How were you? I don't know. Now, to be fair, and this is the only maybe I'll give you, is I did watch it, because this movie, P.S., for our fans, is available on YouTube.
Oh, yeah, just watch it. And,
you can just watch it.
5 easy pieces.
It's in parts. Yep, it's 7, actually. 7 easy parts.
7 easy pieces. Just like the Jack Nicholson movie, 5 easy pieces.
Well, so I watched one half and then the other half. But I was like, I didn't stop watching it because I was bored with it. I just broke it up into 2 nights. So maybe that, I loved it. Like I said, I was disappointed that I hadn't had it in my childhood. I really enjoyed it. Like a couple of the others that we've watched, like you said, Starting Almost Fire. I was like, I can't believe that. I'm sorry that I watched it. I'm glad I missed it the first time around. This movie, I was like, this could have changed my childhood. Wow. Maybe. I don't know if that changed my childhood, but I wasn't a space kid. And after watching this movie, I was like, I feel like I missed out on being a space kid. That must have been kind of fun. Because then there were others. This was around the time, what is that, Flight of the Navigator?
Oh, yeah, sure. Flight of the Navigator and Last Starfighter.
Yeah. They were, and I just, yeah. So, but you clearly...
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it. I wish... it's a trim, 84, 86 minutes. It's nothing. Yeah. And I guess that was my problem. There were a lot of people in this who could have been used more effectively. And I think that was my, not my only issue with St. Elmo's Fire, but it was the same thing, is that I really didn't care about any of the characters. They're there, they talk for a little while, they're in space, a couple bad things happen, and they're back. Like, it's just, it didn't, I don't know, I didn't feel invested in any of it. And I felt like, again, Tom Skerritt seemed bored. Kate Capshaw seemed bored.
She was just,
I don't know. I feel like, there's a reason why I focused on a small scene about pooping in space. I feel like there's a reason for that, because the rest of it wasn't very good. And you're right, there were a few times where it was kind of tense, but again, I thought that kind of dragged on. And not only did they have one person float away in space, they're like, what else can we do? I don't know, somebody else floats away?
Well, true. There was a couple
let's
of
do
silly...
that again.
I guess, well then, I guess too, if you watch it with the heart of a child, then you see more the magic in it. But if I was watching it as an adult, I am an adult.
You're an adult.
But, you know what I mean?
Talking about?
I think you have a cynic view on this movie. I think that it makes me sad.
Can I ask you a question? Because I was really excited to hear this. What did your husband think of it?
Oh, okay.
Did he watch it with you or no?
He did not watch it with me, but he had seen it before.
Well, right. No, that's why because I had seen it before and I loved it.
He loved it. He, too, got accepted to space camp, wanted to go to, this was a thing for him. He's referenced this in our relationship before, and I never got it because I hadn't seen the movie. And
did he make weird poop jokes? Is that what you mean by references? He's like, it's just like a dentist chair. And you're like, hon, that's the toilet. I don't know what you're talking about.
No, he didn't see it since, but I shared my love of it with him, and he was like, well, yeah, that's what we all loved. I feel like there's, I don't know. I
want you to show him
but
this movie.
He didn't watch it again.
I want him to watch it again. I want to know what he thinks, because maybe it's just something that I had romanticized.
Now, did Carla?
No.
What had she? Okay.
No, she doesn't know what I'm doing down here right now. She doesn't know. She doesn't know what goes on. No, she did not see it. Yeah, I want to know, because I feel like I was saying, I feel like maybe I just romanticized this in my mind. And I was like, I remember watching this, and I remember really being into Leah Thompson and space. This is so great. And maybe I just built it up so much that I watched it and went, oh, no, this is just a shitty movie.
I guess I could see how, I guess if I had that. See, but like I said, I had no other memory of it. I had never seen it before, so maybe if I was that invested.
You know what?
I don't know.
Listeners, you decide. You tell us who's right and who's wrong.
You tell us.
Oh, and also we do, I set up an email I didn't even tell you I set up an email, but we will be doing something with the email soon. We want to know what Halloween movies we should watch. We're not going to decide. We'll let everybody who listens to us decide.
Yeah. I'm sick of deciding.
But it is simply goodtimesgreatmovies@gmail.com. So if you want to email us, that's great. Find us on Facebook as usual. We do have 2 Twitter accounts because I couldn't change the name of our old one. So just...
Oh, that's awesome.
We're just GT... Wait, what would our initials be? GTGM Cast.
Okay.
On Twitter. So if you want to follow us there, you can do that as well. Should we just do recommendations and...
I mean,
put this puppy to bed? Your recommendation is...
to watch it
Shut
again.
off this damn podcast now and watch Space Camp.
Seriously. My one recommendation is to watch it again, or to make that there should be a sequel somehow made, and my other recommendation...
Wait, your recommendation is for someone to make a sequel? That's a bold recommendation. But I love it.
Yes.
I'm 100% on board. And if somebody does make this and we could just get some cameos, that would be great.
I would love that even more. Yeah.
If somebody has to explain how a toilet works, I'll do that. I'll
You're on it. Lines. You are on it. Yes. Explain your recommendations, though. What would you recommend? What could fill the void that this
I don't know
clearly made in your heart?
Well, I don't know when I'd be able to recommend this again, so I'm just gonna. This is good. This is a good excuse to recommend this. First of all, this is a qualified recommendation because I just called Space Camp a boring movie, and when somebody recommended this movie to me, they said, if you ever have trouble falling asleep, put in this movie. So I did a few years ago, watched it, loved it. It's 3 hours long.
Oh, gosh.
It's a Russian movie from the early 70s.
Oh, gosh. Go ahead.
And it's Solaris. It's wonderful.
Okay.
If you want to watch a 3-hour movie where there are long stretches where nobody talks to each other, but it takes place in space, and it's a sci-fi movie without aliens and guns and laser blasters and stuff like that, but it's very metaphysical and wonderful, and everybody should watch it if you can stomach that. I did a huge disservice in this in this explanation.
If you don't have the time, just watch Space Camp.
Watch Space Camp 2.5 times, and you got it. It's basically the exact same movie. Yeah, so it's Solaris, and it's wonderful. It's amazing. So that's it. That's all I got.
All right. Well, there you have it. That's all we've got then.
I loved your recommendation of somebody to make a sequel. I hope that happens.
So do I. I put it out there for a reason.
I think we need to get somebody from Space Camp on this podcast. I don't think Tate Donovan's going to do it.
Go ahead. So next time.
Next time.
2
weeks from now. 2 weeks from now when you're listening to this.
Are you in space?
Oh, so what are we going to do in 2 weeks?
We're doing a very classic film for a good reason.
A wonderful reason. And this is like I talked about earlier. All of our movies are chosen for a specific reason.
Yes.
We're going to move away from the summer topic, but what are we doing and why? You can...
Oh, you say, and I will say what. I will say what if you give the why. The what is a favorite. I mean, I'm smiling just thinking about it. Is Three Amigos. And the
Again,
why?
Hey, Three Amigos, don't destroy my childhood like Space Camp did, all right?
It couldn't. Oh, with those 3 actors, I don't think it could.
And why? Because funny man Steve Martin turned 70 years old. Either next time we record, or I think when it comes out, is his 70th birthday.
That's beautiful. We celebrate him. We celebrate him by watching Three Amigos. It's a fiesta. It's a fiesta in his honor.
Right. Chevy Chase.
Oh, the Chevs.
Amazing.
Martin Short.
Martin Short.
I'm so stoked about this. And
is his name really Martin Short, or is it because he's kind of a little guy?
You are.
No, I'm serious. No, I'm just... Well, Chevy Chase's name isn't Chevy Chase, so I'm wondering if
I see.
Martin Short, is...
I don't think he picked Short because he was short, if that's what you're implying. But,
right.
I don't know for sure.
Maybe that's his real name. It just worked out that way.
Yeah, it's such could be his luck. Yes. And such is ours that we get to watch him.
Now that I've insulted Martin Short. Who else? Who else did I insult? Everyone on this podcast. What's his name? I keep talking about his kid dying. I can't think of his name. This is terrible.
You're terrible.
Oh, I'm awful. All right.
You're terrible. You know what? You better just call it a night now.
I know.
Because
we got to shut this down.
Yeah. Let's do it. Okay.
All right, everybody. See you in 2 weeks. Watch Three Amigos.
All right. Ciao. Or adios.
Good one.
How many times must I tell you, baby? How many bridges I've got to cross? How many times must I explain myself? Or I can talk to the boss. Or I can talk to the boss. How many times must I say I love you before you finally understand? Won't you be my forever woman? I'll try to be your forever man. Try to be your forever man.
What